Okay. I just said a bunch of stuff. What? Okay, this is what just happened. I just made a video where I was talking about I would like to see where Windows Phone added a feature in the camera app where you can see that time and a battery indicator on while you're recording. I mean, this is when you're actually recording video, so that you can monitor your time and you can also see where your battery's at, especially if not you're running out of batteries, but you need to get that last minute video. So you kind of like looking at the camera, you're like, oh my God, we're about to run out of batteries. But let me try to get this last little scene here, 'cause we doing something really funny and crazy, and you want to embarrass him on YouTube and Facebook. And so, you're trying to get that last little bit of video that you can before your battery completely runs out. I think that'd be a cool feature, and this is something that's not on other phones, as far as I know about. iPhone doesn't have that feature either, but I do know for sure that Android doesn't. So I think it'll be kind of an added feature if Microsoft can lead the way in adding time to be permanently fixed. Maybe like in the upper right in very, very small print in maybe the same font size as the time in the battery indicator is the main home screen. I think that would be a cool little feature, and I think Microsoft could lead the way in that, really. But anyway, I was talking about Office 365 and how it's just so much better than Google Apps. I mean, Google Apps, it's just not there yet. It's just not there. And the way they're going about it, I mean, it's completely offline or online. I mean, yes, you can go offline. I know this. I know you can go offline. Yes, I know. I know. Okay. Okay. But there's no external applications. Now, I've been very successful and very happy with how Microsoft's online offline feature works too, with Word app, and the fact that I was able to download files even on my phone. And as I download them, I update the file, and it still uploads the corrections that I made to my documents automatically. Um, I did mention a few recordings back that what I don't like is that I don't have real live collaboration on my phone. Basically, when I check out a document, it's checked out, and I am editing, and then it saves everything back to server instead of live saving like Office Word web app and Google documentation. You make an edit and it saves constantly, even on your tablet and phone. But on a Windows phone, it doesn't do that. And so I think Microsoft, how they improved upon collaboration in documents, in spreadsheets, and presentations, uh, collaboration is concerned, they haven't quite touched that on the mobile market yet. Um, and why can't that happen? I think if I had a link meeting on my phone, I should be able to, leave that link application and still be talking to people, open up that Word app, and edit the documents along with my colleagues live. I think that would be a tremendous feature, that Microsoft can add to their setup. I think it would just be the cat's meow, you know. So, it's I um Microsoft has to really come up with some. I mean, I'm surprised that Microsoft isn't doing a lot as it is to try to improve upon the Windows Phone. I mean, they can do so much, and they have the ability to. What is stopping them from doing it? And that's one thing that I do get aggravated about, is why Microsoft doesn't just go for it and get the best phone in the market. They have the ability to do it. The OS is awesome. If, in my opinion, the OS it kicks ass. Okay, it's it performs admirably, and as compared to a phone that costs the same, I got the Nokia Lumia 521. A phone that costs equally the same does not perform anywhere close to how my $100 Windows Phone performs. In fact, I think I said $300. I said with any phone that costs anywhere between 20 and $200. It doesn't compare to anything out there that's below $400. If you ask me, um, anything above $400, of course, if you have a Galaxy S4, HTC Note or Galaxy Note, HTC One, I guess it's called. If you got one of those kind of phones, yeah, you're gonna have the most buttery phone there is. That phone is gonna be butter. Buttery means smooth. And the Android 4.2 and 3, it is very smooth. Those OS, I mean, it's very smooth. It's very little drop frames, and the performance, it just performs. It just does what it does. There's not a lot of drop frames. Things run smoothly. On my Nokia Lumia 521, I do notice a lot of drop frames because the processing speeds on this phone is not that high. As high as like a 1020, but I've seen a 1020 and the animations are very smooth. But still, my phone performs. It still does what it does. And it still compares to any phone that costs $400 or less, if you ask me. And I think anybody who gets a Windows phone, whether it's $100 or they spend $600 for a 1020, or they spend $100 for a 2-year contract for a 1020, will be very happy with their Windows phone, especially if their company use Office 365. Office 365 works great. Yes, you don't get that real-time collaboration. I'm a little disappointed in that, and I'm hoping that is something that's a feature that Microsoft will add, hopefully in Windows 8 Phone 8.1, which I haven't been able to get yet because it's not available for my phone yet. But I've been reading some reviews on Windows Phone 8.1, and a lot of people like it. I am definitely looking forward to the notification area that they're promising. And Nokia is coming out with Lumia Black, which is a update to the phone. They're going to add a few more apps and improve upon the performance of their portion of the phone that they have. Uh, so if you ask me, if you really do want a good phone with Windows Phone, at this time, Nokia is the best. I mean, it's probably the only one that's making phones for Windows phones, because the other companies, they only come out with maybe one or two. Like HTC has the Windows Phone 8X and the 8S. And whereas I believe HTC is coming out with a phone, Samsung has a TiV, which matches a TiV tablets. And so they're coming out with phones, but I think so far when I'm out and about and I see a person with Windows Phone, I see half and half. I see half the people getting Nokia, mostly the 920 series, and I see the other half of the people getting Windows Phone 8X. And I'm probably the only one with the Nokia Lumia 521 that I know about so far. But the fact is that Nokia is taking that chance and going low cost on their phone. It's big a big step because Android phones, you can get an Android phone for $30. And as far as I know, I think AT&T has a limited special for the Nokia Lumia 520 for only $59. That is a good price. And Microsoft, by them embedding the three buttons at the bottom into the actual video of the phone, will be a big step because then that saves the manufacturers a lot of money in having capacitive. I don't know what those buttons are called, but those three buttons at the bottom of the phone, capacitive something or another. And so that will save the companies a lot of money in the manufacturing of these phones, a tremendous amount of money, really, because those three buttons cost money. And so if they include it in the LCD of the phone or LED, AMOLED, whatever, that will definitely decrease the amount of costs that it comes to building a phone. And as they saying, as a one review, they said that the companies will be able to create Windows Phone and Android phones using the same hardware because an Android hardware and a Windows Phone hardware is pretty much the same. Apple, maybe not so much, but the Windows Phone hardware and the Android hardware is pretty much the same. So you can, with a few modifications, okay, run an Android on a Windows phone and a Windows phone on an Android very easily. For those of you who have broken the code and were able to do it on those YouTube videos I've seen throughout the years, I've seen people install Android on a Samsung Focus, and I've seen people install a Windows Phone on a Samsung Galaxy. It's not that hard, and it can be done. So if that's the case, then by adding those three buttons into the LED or LCD wouldn't cost a lot of money for these companies, so they can create one hardware, two different OSs. Why not? So that's the main thing. It's just makes it so much easier. And these app developers, Microsoft is trying to come up with ways to make it easier for an Android developer to create an app for Windows Phone. Now, if they really want a lot more Windows Phone apps, if you ask me, they should drop or significantly decrease the cost of submitting an app. Instead of charging $100 like the Apple Store and the Google Play Store, why not charge 20 dollars? You can sell your app in the Google in the Microsoft marketplace. Why not? And I really do believe that they need to get back into podcasts. The Microsoft Zoom included podcast feeds. And even though you can get podcasts on your Windows phone, it seems like to me that they're slowly phasing that out. And I think that's a wrong idea because podcasts, even today, it's still very popular. People still like to listen to podcasts, especially. And what a lot of people do with podcasts is that they will download a podcast onto their phone and then play it back in their sound system in their car because they got a Bluetooth, situation going, and they can play back audio in their car from their phone, and they'll listen to the podcast on the way to work. So I do believe that Microsoft may want to rethink that if that's where they're trying to go. Then they should rethink that and make it uh, again a very important factor for the phone. Well, even Apple. I mean, I don't understand. Even Apple is they kind of are phasing out podcasts because now you got to get a separate podcast app. It's free to download on the Apple Store, but it's a separate podcast app. Even though iTunes has it as an included feature in iTunes itself, on iPhone it's not. It's a separate app altogether, and you have to subscribe to podcasts on your iPhone through that app if you really want to get podcasts. So I'm noticing that too. So I'm wondering if Microsoft is doing. Hmm. I'm worried about that because I think podcasts is still people. I still think there are a lot of people are still into podcasts. Let me see. I'm at 14 minutes here. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get off this thing. So, everybody, peace out. Have a good one, and talk to you again shortly.